The LG G7 tends to take sharper pictures than the Moto G7, and a major factor in this is motion blur. The Moto G7 has no optical image stabilization, and it also tends to use longer shutter times due to the fact that it has a narrower aperture of f1.6 compared to f1.8. The LG G7 has a 16 megapixel camera, while the Moto G7 has a 12 megapixel camera. However, this will not make much of a difference when viewing them without zooming in, since the typical 4K display is only around 8 megapixels and this video is being exported in 4K. You will only really be able to tell the difference if you zoom in. However, the LG G7 does also have the capability of pixel binning, which can combine 4 pixels into 1 pixel, creating a 4 megapixel image, although it is brighter than the 12 megapixel image that comes out of the Moto G7. Both the Moto G7 and LG G7 come with secondary cameras, although the secondary camera on the Moto G7 is only a depth sensor, while the secondary camera on the LG G7 is a wide-angle camera. Here are the video capabilities on the LG G7 and Moto G7 compared. This is both at 4K 30 frames per second, although the LG is capable of 4K at 60 frames per second, and now the LG is recording in 4K at 60 frames per second. The audio switching between the two phones, and the audio icon is on the one that we're using the audio from. Here is the stabilization compared, both at 4K 30 frames per second. Now the LG is at 4K at 60 frames per second, which should be a little less steady since it doesn't have the steady video recording enabled at 4K 60. And now they're both at 60 frames per second in 1080p. Now the LG is recording using the wide-angle camera. This is only possible using manual video on the LG G7.